New Haven's former police chief Carl Jacobson has entered a plea after he was charged for embezzling more than $85,000 from the police department's budget. Thank you so much for watching the news at 6. I'm Annette Montgomery. Jacobson was confronted about the missing funds by his own staff back in January, and that same day he retired from the department while an investigation was launched. Fox 61's Celine Arif shares what Jacobson and his attorney decided today.
3 months ago, we learned Jacobson allegedly admitted to stealing from his department, and now he's gone before a judge and entered a not guilty plea. In Superior Court, former New Haven Police Chief Carl Jacobson's appearance was short. It only lasted about a minute. It was all quiet. He didn't say much.
Good morning, Ron.
Instead, his attorney spoke for him at the end, asking the judge to enter a not guilty plea on Jacobson's behalf, which the judge did, sending this case to a jury trial moving forward. We asked his attorney outside of court for comment, which he declined. A prosecutor shared they're still working with investigators to calculate the exact amount that Jacobson allegedly stole. We reached out to the mayor's office and New Haven Police for comment, and Mayor Justin Elicker sent us a statement that reads, "No one is above the law, and that includes the chief of police. It is important that former Chief Carl Jacobson is held accountable for his actions and that the criminal justice process take its course." Jacobson's next court date is June 2nd, after both parties requested more time to work on their cases. In New Haven, Celine Arif, Fox 61.
Thank you, Celine. Well, now to an update in a shooting that injured 2 men back in February. A 16-year-old has now been charged with assault and carrying a pistol without a permit. Officers say back on February 15, they were alerted to James Street in New Haven, where they found 2 20-year-old men shot. Investigators say the 16-year-old teen was involved in a fight and then fired a gun. They say the victim's injuries were non-life-threatening. Police Chief David Zanelli says so far this year, the department has made 6 arrests out of the 7 non-deadly shootings that have occurred. And he thanked the community for their help. And over in Middletown, police there say a man shot at 2 people earlier this morning. Rashawn Saunders is now being held on a $750,000 bond. That incident happened on Portland Street around 2 a.m. Investigators say he got into a physical fight with 2 people before firing several shots. Officers didn't mention the victim's injuries, but Saunders now faces several charges and is set to be in court on Monday. Take a look. Thousands of bus riders in the Bridgeport area could soon be left with fewer options to get around. Greater Bridgeport Transit said it desperately needs either more money or fewer costs to close a more than $7 million funding gap. And now they're looking at cutting some service as an answer. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules is live in Bridgeport hearing from bus riders who depend on this public transportation. Alicia.
Annette, during a press conference that wrapped up about an hour and a half ago, Greater Bridgeport Transit said that if they don't get additional funding, they'll have to cut bus service by 30%. Some of the riders I spoke with say these cuts would be devastating to them.
And I live in Stratford, so one of my only options to get home is either the bus or I have to wait for a train.
David Florian, a student at Capital Prep Harbor, says that catching the bus is difficult at times, and if services are cut, he may have to walk home.
There was even some cases where I was even late to the bus and I had to walk an hour or 2 hours home. So to even not have to even remove one of those options to get home is disappointing.
Greater Bridgeport Transit says they've exhausted their federal pandemic relief funding that currently supports their operations. As their funding runs out, the company is now facing a $7.6 million funding gap. The $7.6 million is covered in the state budget, but state legislators fear it could be removed from the budget. Greater Bridgeport Transit CEO Stephen DeMichelle estimates that more than 1 million trips will be affected by these cuts.
A reduction of up to 30% in service is a step in the wrong direction, and it erases years of progress.
These cuts could result in several bus routes no longer servicing stops across Bridgeport and surrounding communities. It could also cause several bus routes to no longer offer service on the weekends.
That would affect a lot of us pretty badly.
Salim McLean, a student at Capital Prep Harbor, says a majority of his classmates depend on the bus to get to and from school. He thinks these service cuts would be devastating to families across the city and surrounding communities.
Because now parents have to leave early because they have to come pick up their kids because they don't have a right of transportation home no more because the city buses don't have enough funding.
Greater Bridgeport Transit is asking riders to reach out to state lawmakers and the governor's office to help them secure that additional funding and avoid those service cuts. Live in Bridgeport, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Thank you so much, Alicia. We'll take a look at the rain that passed through Mystic a few hours ago. Windshield wipers you can see there were on high for drivers in eastern Connecticut this afternoon. It's done for now, but we have one more beautiful day to enjoy before we return to colder temps. So let's bring in meteorologist Sam Sampieri. Sam, what can we expect this weekend?
That's right, Annette. I'll just review the radar with everyone here. Yeah, you see this little cluster of showers developing in northern Connecticut came right down the 395 corridor and intensified, and that's what you saw in that video. And these are what we call these vanilla everyday April showers that aren't severe, but every once in a while they do intensify into a little thunder shower. And so the good news is that they are starting to taper off as we lose the heating of the day. What happened was a cold front went through, but the upper levels of the atmosphere became very cold and created a reinforcing shot of cooler air coming right down out of the north. Basically, reality now has set in. Our summer fling is over. It's still mild, though. We have temperatures in the low 70s and upper 60s and lower 60s there in southeastern Connecticut. Dew points in the 50s. So tonight, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, not bad. Sun to clouds with high temperatures in the 60s. Coming up, I'll detail a rainy Sunday for you and what you can expect into next week. Annette?
Thank you so much, Sam. Well, Trumbull police said they're looking for two masked men who robbed a gas station at gunpoint last night. They said the two men walked into the Shell gas station on White Plains Road around 9:30. They also say they threatened both employees and customers, and police said one of them smacked an employee in the head, causing a small injury. The good news is nobody else was hurt. Police did not say how much money they stole, but said the men got into a waiting getaway car. Well, two people are hurt after the tire on a motorcycle failed and turned over on Route 15 in Wallingford yesterday. According to state police, the passenger is critically hurt, but the driver is expected to recover. Tonight, troopers are investigating that crash. We'll take a look over in West Hartford. Police say a driver was under the influence when he hit a moped rider last night. Officials say Fabrizio Gutierrez Medina didn't yield, which then caused that crash. It happened at the intersection of Flatbush and New Park Avenue just before 9:30 p.m. Police tell us the moped driver was hospitalized, but didn't say how serious their injuries are at this time. Investigators say they also found weapons in Gutierrez Medina's car. He was arraigned in court today. And take a look at this. Police say the driver has serious but non-life-threatening injuries after this car crash. Police say they didn't think he was intoxicated, but they believe he fell asleep behind the wheel after finishing an overnight shift. Tammy Siciliano says she was planning to eat at the restaurant before being met with this surprise.
I was going to try it. I never did, and now it's going to be a while before I do try. It's always good to have a good business coming into here. And he wasn't even here that long, and I feel bad for him.
And the owner of this restaurant tells us he wants to reopen as soon as possible, but for now, the city's closed them down temporarily for structural safety concerns. Iran declares the vital trade choke point, the Strait of Hormuz, is now open to all commercial vessels for the remainder of the ceasefire with the U.S. Now, that is set to end this Tuesday. Ivan Rodriguez shares the latest.
The Strait of Hormuz, which has been effectively closed since the start of the war, is now completely open, according to Iran. President Donald Trump heralded the move, but said the current U.S. naval blockade will remain in place until, quote, our transaction with Iran is 100% complete. While Iran says the continuation of the blockade would violate the ceasefire agreement and force it to reclose the critical passage. Trump and his allies appear optimistic an agreement will soon be reached.
The fact that both sides are saying the straits are open, that's a good sign for all of us, and it's obviously a good sign that the markets like, and that hopefully this is the beginning of the end of the war.
Friday morning, U.S. stocks surged and oil prices dropped sharply. Oil prices trading at their lowest levels since early March, but still remain higher than their pre-war levels. But experts warn even if the war ends now, it could still take months to years for oil production in the region to recover.
Restarting upstream production could take several months. Restarting refining capacity will take several months. So all of these things are lags in the pace of the recovery.
As a 10-day truce between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon also appears to be holding, despite the Lebanese army accusing Israel of violations. There is mounting hope on all sides that there may soon be an end to a recent spike in violence.
We want the ceasefire first to be established for good. We believe that the cannon should shut up in order for the negotiators to be able to listen to each other.
Ivan Rodriguez, Fox 61.
A new lawsuit filed against several states, including Connecticut, looks to protect operators of prediction market platforms like Polymarket. But our state lawmakers say they're confident legal arguments to regulate will happen sooner rather than later. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which is backed by the Trump administration, filed the lawsuit to stop state regulations from happening. This morning, Attorney General William Tong and Senator Richard Blumenthal called out the prediction market and compared it to a more dangerous form of standard gambling. They say bets on worldly events without limits are cause for national security concern. And despite arguments saying local regulation is not in a state's jurisdiction, they disagree.
This is a pre-enforcement challenge, as it's called under the law, and they want to stop us from enforcing what is our sovereign right to do, which is to pass laws to protect people here in Connecticut. These humongous bets on war, deaths, assassination involve leaks of insider information that demand investigation.
And litigation over the case is expected to go on for weeks and possibly months.